So very good afternoon. I think we missed it by 2 minutes. I think 43 is very difficult to follow, but 45, yeah, we got it. Mentors around, but I think that is not what is going to keep you awake. I think this panel will keep you awake. We've been following closely on all the other panels that were happening, very interesting speeches, a lot of knowledge sharing. I hope this panel also brings you that. My role here, you'll be wondering what I'm doing here. I'm kind of the odd one out. So you can call me a EV enthusiast or somebody who's following this from close quarters. I represent Colliers as a company. Colliers is the third largest real estate firm in the world. So what is this real estate guy doing here? So my role here is to kind of talk about finance. We have a lot of eminent panelists who I have with me. And we also have a manufacturer with us. People from VC, Angel Network. So you have them all. So it's not mentors that is going to keep you awake. It's going to be money that's going to keep you awake. The session is accelerating in top gear. And what is in it for investors is the topic. And over the next 1 hour, I'd have a very important job to do, kind of get you a lot of inputs on where we are heading to in the EV space in terms of investing. Where is the money going? So that's one thing that we are talking about. So we start off with somebody who's been there in the audience, but who's kind of come a long way today. Arjun, I'll start with you. I mean, you've been into the manufacturing space with GEV. So from our discussion, I understand you're completely bootstrapped in now. So you have not taken the plunge as yet. So we want to start and here, I mean, for somebody who's made it till here, you were one of these starts. Started off with a bang and then you started with a larger bang now, the bang. So can you quickly walk us through, I mean, how does it start, where you've reached and where you want to reach? I mean, that's where I start off the panel discussions.
Sure. Yeah, so the brand name in which I started in 2016 was Dabang e-rickshaw and e-loaders. And right now, it's all bootstrap, like you mentioned. And currently, we are selling 300 to 400 vehicles monthly. And in the target for 22 and 23 would be at least reaching 750 or 1,000 vehicles monthly. I'm just talking about the electric three-wheelers, low speed. But if we talk about L5, we are yet to enter with a brand Voltec, which is already on the papers, but yes, the certification is still pending. It is hard, to be honest, like for a company like myself and competing with the giants, because everything you are new to the industry. And when I started in 2016, everything like nobody had a proper guidance, to be honest. So at that time, a lot of people were not very educated in terms of EV. So everything you had to do was go to Google or go to exhibition like this and understand what exactly after 5 years or 10 years EV would be like. So obviously it took a lot of time. I took a lot of time to understand how we can go about this and do we need investors on board or not. But I think right now is the right time because that's why I'm here also, to be honest. Earlier I've not given much stage presences, but educating people that okay, this is electric rickshaw, this is what it does. It's not auto, it's not cycle rickshaw, it's electric rickshaw. The kind of hard work or the kind of sweat we put on while educating, that's why we took a lot of time. But now every kid, every person is interested into EV. Okay, so now what are you gonna do next? What's your plan for next 2 years, 3 years? So I believe they are here and such dignified people. I think it's the right move they have taken, and I hope they find right manufacturers like myself and we can take this forward. And the last part was to where do I see my EV company in the future? Of course, I the best part is you can play anywhere, whether it's you're creating your own dealers or distributor network, or tying up with government for so for example Swachh Bharat Abhiyan mission. So electric garbage collection vehicles are there. We have already supplied in 3 states, more than 300 vehicles. And of course, the government is also very supportive in terms of this. So first is dealer and distributor network. Second is the government. Third is export. So if you see the verticals, it's unbelievable that how we can flourish, how a company like myself can compete with company like Mahindra or TVS or Excite, XYZ.
Thank you, Arjun. Not very easy to be opening speak, so that's well done. And for everyone, it's not only about the panelists here. I think you all have the opportunity to tap in on the eminent panelists. Uh, I move on to Arpit. So Arpit, when it comes to funding, I mean, Bloom has done a lot of work in this space. Uh, how do you see where it all starts for somebody like Arjun? I mean, where do they start? When do they come to a forum and say that, okay, this is where I need to kind of start scaling up? This is where I need to start getting myself to the next leap. Where does it all start? I mean, is there a threshold that needs to be there? It would be very good for the audience also to understand. Where do we start?
Hello. Hi, my name is Arpit and I work with a firm called Bloom Ventures. We are early stage investors, one of India's leading firms. We have offices in Delhi, Bombay, and Bangalore, and companies like Unacademy, Dunzo, Spinny, Cashify, etc. are part of our portfolio. On EV side, we have Euler Motors, Battery Smart, and Electric Pay, and Hulu, which is part of our portfolio, just to give background. So, very clearly, everyone who needs money should raise money when they need it. But one important principle to establish, Suresh, is money is an input. Money is not an end. It is a means. We can, of course, treat ourselves as rock stars in the room and let everyone dance in front of us, which we often do. But that is not the way entrepreneurs should look at us. We are a means to your purpose. You have a goal. It is your dream. It is your sweat and blood. We will come and do our bit, but we are not going to make or break anything. So it is important for all the entrepreneurs in the room to keep this in mind, that your business comes first, your customers come first. You have to make money, you have to make revenue, you have to make economics meet. And if you're doing it quite well, money is going to follow you, as compared to you having to chase money. It is a lopsided, unfortunate situation that we find in startups in India, that money was historically in scarcity. Today, it is not the situation. So one should build a very good business and people will find you. It is my job to find you. So that's very important. As far as what is a good timing, whenever you feel you're right, so it could be very early stage. Some people think that you should raise money at seed stage. Some people think then, they are as large as Gayatri is, or some people want to raise money later. Whenever you are ready, it can't hurt, of course, to keep asking some of us for our feedback or from what we are seeing in the market, and to figure out what kind of investor, for example, I may not be right investor for everything. So what kind of investor might work for you? That's good. Keep engaging. So from advice perspective, raise it when you need it. Don't wait for the right time. And even if you're not ready, please keep engaging, because you will get to learn a few things, or maybe if they like you enough, you'll get a few introductions which otherwise you won't get from otherwise. So yeah, please keep engaging with us. Some of us are useful and helpful also. Beyond money, I mean.
That's some wise words. I'd move on to Nandini. I mean, when we think of angel networks, I mean, we've seen various chapters, various people who come in. I mean, when in doubt, go to angel. So, I mean, is that still holding true, or you see a lot of competition, a lot of people come into that space? How have you participated in this EV space, and how has the journey been?
So I just want to, first address the first part of the question. Actually, this term angel investing is now dated. This is, I think it started, say, 15, 20 years back or even earlier in the United States, when, there would be individuals who would actually come forward and put money in when nobody else was actually willing to back you. Today, cut to 2022, we don't call ourselves an angel network anymore. We call ourselves a private investment platform. What that does is that it basically tries to focus on this decision making that individuals or family offices or even corporates are wanting to take on deciding on investments deal by deal. What I mean by that is that now there is enough money, like Arpit mentioned, and it flows through in two formats. One format is where, family offices or individuals will go to funds and say that, look, here is my money, now you decide on my behalf. Right? So, and then that is happening in a very big way, and a large part of the money actually comes from that format. But now there is this growing tribe of investors, and these are not just individuals. That's one key thing that I want to highlight over here. It is, of course, individuals, but it's also family offices, it's also corporates who are now saying, look, I want to build a very specific portfolio where I want to choose. So just to give you a sense of numbers that we are talking about, we on our platform today have about, say, 700 investors, and these are not just Mumbai. So the other big thing is that today we are Mumbai Angels only as a concept. Today we are actually a global network across 70 cities and 10 different countries. So what is the kind of volume that we're talking about? We actually curate from, say, about 800 to 1,000 investment opportunities we see in a month. In a month. From where we actually, curate and filter down to about, say, 10 to 15, which at any given point of time are open for investment to our listeners. So if you calculate that number, you're talking of about, say, 100 to 120 investment opportunities, which are being showcased to our 700 investors across the globe.
Right.
And people take individual calls on saying, do I want to invest in this or not?
Right.
So that's the whole perspective of what is happening. And I think that's a fabulous, testimonial to the growth of the ecosystem, both for the founders and for the investors. So that's part one of the question. The second part on what is our exposure in the EV space. So, see, we are a sector agnostic platform, and we have to be, because our job is to keep finding the best investment opportunities for our investors. Right? Having said that, we are seeing EV becoming one of our focus areas. So, in terms of our portfolio, today our portfolio is somewhere around 200 companies. As of today, we have 4 investments. So we have Blue Smart, we have Charge Zone, we have Gigadyne, and our recent investment is in Indie Energy. So of these, 2 of them are, so Blue Smart is a hailing service and a charging company. Charge Zone is a charging station company. Gigadyne and Indie Energy are both in the battery space. So right now, it might just look at 4 out of 200. But if I was to just extrapolate my portfolio in, say, the next year, where we look to invest in at least 100 more companies. So that's the rate at which we are growing.
That's interesting. Right? That's interesting.
I think at least 10% of our portfolio will be EV, and it will be across the entire range. And just to, and I don't want to take too much time. I just want to answer the question. I have huge respect for founders who actually go out into the market once they are absolutely sure they need the money. I think, this whole business of unicorns in India and all of us looking at this unicorn, it makes for great headlines, but I actually think it completely undermines what we are building as a startup nation in the country. Right. So absolutely. And anytime you want to talk to us, Arpit is here, whoever else is here. We are constantly on the hunt to find founders who can build great companies for us.
Perfect. I think we are setting the tone for a very interesting conversation that's building up. So I just move on to the most interesting person, Commander Navneet. Until we spoke, a couple of days back, I was not understanding this concept of government getting involved in the financing and funding part. So it was a big revelation for me as well. So, I would like to hear from your passion, the way you say, as to how you play a role. You are an organization that is also into indigenous promotions. So how does your scheme of funding work, and how easy? Because when we get this notion of government and there's too many things to do, protocols, that's the kind of thing that goes to anybody's mind. A lot of digitization has crept in, but still we are scratching the surface is what I'd like to believe. Where are we, and how do we go about your organization? If you can introduce yourself and kind of give a background.
So I'm Commander Kaushik and I'm representing Technology Development Board. So my organization has been in existence from last 25 years, and we have made significant contributions which most of the people are not aware of. Like if I start with Bharat Biotech today, that we had a co-vaccine which came out 1 year after the COVID struck us, and we had it actually, which actually saved us from the rest of the problems which came along with it. Now, the journey of the Bharat Biotech did not start today. It was the first company, rather the second company we funded in 1996-97. So we funded them back then. So TDB is not about, no offense, it's not about valuation. We are looking at value creation. We are looking at creating an ecosystem which actually develops within India. And like today, if India is pharmacy of the world, I would say we have a huge role to play in that. Though we are unsung, nobody knows it. But if I say 7 COVID vaccine manufacturers in India, 6 have been funded by us. And not today. We funded them when they were young. When you talk about the biotech ecosystem, let's say Biocon, Ranbaxy, Cadila, Bharat Biotech, Santa Biotech, the first vaccine manufacturers in India. Probably if you name any major biotech company, we would have funded. So probably that is what we are looking at to do it in the EV ecosystem. And when I look at EV ecosystem, I'm not looking only for a vehicle. I'm looking at for the entire thing, because it's very interesting time in EV. It's not only about batteries. It's not only about design. When you look at the new designs coming in, probably you're looking for the new materials coming in. Then you have the batteries which have to be disposed to. Probably you're looking at a new sector of waste management, which will become very important once this comes into play. And TDB being sector agnostic, we can fund kind of project, right? But the only thing which we have is we are coming in after the, Arpit or the angels have come in. We come at a TRL level 8 and 9 when you have a prototype, and then you want to take it for commercialization. So we put for capex. Coming to response, you write to us, you get a response within a week. If you want me to do a research, probably it'll take 2 weeks, but we respond. You have the mobile numbers, you have the landlines, you call up, we will get back to you. And the good part is, if you apply to us, no project is rejected without giving reasons in writing. So you have a feedback, and the kind of, if I have time more, so the kind of experts which we have, coming from the government, we are from the DST, Department of Science and Technology, we have access to the domain experts who can actually give you a critical feedback about your, project. We also have on our panel financial experts who will find flaws or give you advices in your business plans, your projections. So when you get into the market, you have actually been thoroughly examined, and only when you go through our process, I think, you're actually ready to go.